racing, there are so many emotions. Really, really high, really, really low, right? And I have, we've all been around we've all been around racing and experienced so many things, all of us. But that day was hard to explain. Mm-hmm. That, winning that race at Martinsville, just a race, race in the middle of the schedule. But for you, that was the day where if this was going to go further, that had to happen.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And all of the variables at play and all of the odds were against you. You're obviously at a racetrack you feel great about because you've had so much good success at Martinsville in your late model cars. But, man, I mean, if you don't win that race, I don't know if we're sitting here.
I agree with that. Yeah. I mean, I think it was, it was just that big of a moment, right? I think it just, even publicly, it seemed to just take me from, like, the guy, like, who, this guy's like, yeah, he's a good short track racer. This is cool. He's getting this opportunity. He's too old. How's he going to do to, whoa, why was this such a big moment? Yeah. I think that's what a lot of people that even in the media was like, well, why is this such a big moment to you and to me and to Junior Motorsports and a lot of people that was around it? Why was this so special? And I think that's when it kind of, it just moved the needle for me, and it kind of got some, it got the momentum going. We were able to attract some more partners to help put together the full season. That was extremely important, obviously. I was able to get a few other opportunities in some other cars here and there to in the Truck Series and in the Xfinity Series, and later on even as a fill-in in the Cup Series a couple times that season. It just was able to snowball me into some opportunities so I could, continue gaining experience, and then while we set ourselves up for 2022, which would have been, full-time season.
I'll attempt to explain it, or what that feeling was. It was validation for both of you guys, not just Josh, but you as well. And it wasn't validation for the previous 365 days. It felt like validation from the previous decade, frankly, because you had been, we've said it before, you had been killing it in the late model series. But as we all know, there were also people that were coming in the second team and then also going to Cup.
Yeah.
Right? William Byron, there's other people that come, obviously had success on the late model program that you practically built. I know there were other drivers before you. I'm just saying that you took that thing to another level. There was a validation for both of you, because I agree. I don't think you unlock those new opportunities without Martinsville. And I felt like Dale also sort of took a gamble, because I think you guys are hitting on it. You're not a multimillionaire bringing all this money. Kevin Barry is not a multimillionaire, correct?
Correct.
Okay, Hendersonville, Tennessee, not the central hub of the racing universe, correct?
True.
Right. So you are one of these guys that actually is making your way up by merit, and there's not a lot of you these days. Yeah. In fact, not a lot. And you were taking gambles on them the way you did Kozlowski and Josh Berry was, and you guys felt validated.
Yeah. I think that's a great point. There was one part of your life, your career, where I could see you were a great mentor for a lot of drivers that came through the late model program. William Byron's a great example of that. We've had several drivers come through there that are actively racing in the trucks and Xfinity and Cup level today, and you influenced their racecraft. I mean, you still influence them today, long after they have moved on. But I could see in your expression at times, like, why is this happening for me? Right? Yeah. I'm outperforming these guys, and they're the ones getting opportunities to go to this next level. And why isn't this? What are the things that are missing? And and so I think that's what makes this story even so much more compelling, is because when we did get that opportunity, when we did get the opportunity to put you in the car for 12 races, there was sort of this, are we sure we can do this? Can we? And then when we got to the next step of, man, we can do a full-time year. Is this really happening?
Right.
I mean, I feel like especially in the last 3 steps that you've taken, like full-time Xfinity, now this new opportunity to go to the Cup level, there is this sort of sense, I think you feel it, but I feel it, of I can't believe this is real.
Yeah.
And it's not, it's kind of this feeling of I don't know how to feel, because it doesn't feel like we ever thought this would get to this place.
Yeah, I mean, it's just this whole process, this whole journey to get here is just so unprecedented, kind of. Just how everything, I don't know. I mean, I think it's just so unique. I think just the situation that's, that you have, in the last 3 years and then the time before that. I often think about what I could have done different, right? Like, I think about that all the time, but, ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, like, I did the right thing because it worked out in my favor. But, I wonder, like, man, should I have been beating on people's doors trying to drive this truck or that truck or this Xfinity car? But, I think I just, for one, I felt extremely loyal to you and this company and putting in the work and being a part of that program, because ultimately it was how I made a living too, right? I was an employee of the company. I worked on the late model cars. I was expected to be present there every day and build them. And yes, I was working on my own car mostly in our other cars throughout that program and racing it and all that. But it was almost like I was expected. I know I was expected to do that. And I just stayed extremely focused on that. And, in time, you're right. There was times for sure that's frustration, that the frustration is, was building, that built and then maybe over that. But, I just never let it, never let it bother me. I just felt like I was still so fortunate to get to race a late model car, get to race at all these racetracks around here and go race with my buddies and work on my car and have so much fun that, I just, it didn't. I remember days when I never thought I would race anything other than a legend car or on iRacing or whatever, right? And so I just think it's it's unique. My story is different because it is different, right? And I think sometimes people don't understand that part of it. They're like, well, weren't you? You're a Cup driver now. Weren't you mad when you raced late model cars? And we're like, but we know because we've done it. We've done it, and we know how rewarding and fun it is racing at that level. That maybe could I have done more to advance that? For sure. I mean, I know I could have, but at the same time, just the effort that I put in, and we all did in that group to win all the races we did is what propelled me, and helped y'all give me the opportunity in the Xfinity car. And ultimately, all that work and all that preparation and racing was what made me prepared to win races and get here.
You mentioned your age, and that's something I wanted to talk about a little bit. There has been I absolutely get that if you want to capture a young talent or a driver that you think is going to be incredible, right? You want to get him in the house. You want to get him in under the roof as early as possible, probably earlier than before they're even ready to or even developed into winner or championship. And we've seen this time and time again with William as a good example. When he goes into the Cup level, he is a talented race car driver, potential Hall of Famer one day, maybe win a championship, maybe a couple championships. He's winning races, having a great year now. But it took him a while to get there, right? It took him a while to learn the ropes and the racecraft. And Joe Logano almost was given up on at one point in his career, becomes a multi-time champion, right? True Hall of Famer. But he had that period of time where there was those 4 or 5 years, maybe even more, where he developed. And I think that you're a great example of the other side of the coin, where your teams can find and hire that turnkey, developed, ready to go win races driver right out of the gate. And I want to give you a couple stats. Like, for example, Dad. Do you know how old Dad was when he ran his first full-time season? 28 years old. Even more extreme to that, Harry Gant. Do you think Harry Gant had a pretty good Cup career?
Yeah.
Guy started his first full-time season at 39 years old. And so I think, and that's obviously that that's a different time and a different era. But I think that you will open up a lot of people's eyes with your career and what you do beyond today, with that the idea of a guy with all of this experience, all of this local track experience, short track experience, Xfinity experience, that the age you're beyond developed. You're not going to get in this 4-car and need 5 years to become a winner. You're not going to need 4 years to become a winner. You're a winner now. You're ready to go win Cup races today. I know you won't say that, but I feel that. And I think that that's almost kind of like cheating for the Stewart-Haas guys, right, to be able to plug a guy in there that's ready to go. I think Preece is also, I know, he's, struggling to get the results this year, but I think he was a guy they plugged in that had so much racecraft and development, short track racing, and just weathered, right, and would be able to get in there and when the car is right, get it right to victory lane and know exactly what needs to happen. But I think that, I think there's two different ways to do it. You can get that young guy in there. You're going to spend those years developing him. He's yours, but you got to be patient. Or you can go out there and hire the guy who's turnkey and ready to go, and that's another alternative. And I think you represent that very well.